had to get old.
This work session, regular meeting of the Township Council is called to order. In accordance with Section 5 of the Open Public Meeting Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975, be advised that adequate notice of this work session, regular meeting of the Township Council of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, was made by the posting on the bulletin board at the municipal complex and transmitted to the officially designated newspapers, a list of dates annually, indicating that this work session regular meeting would take place at the Franklin Township Municipal Complex at 7:00 p.m. on Tuesday, February 26, 2013. In addition, a copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Remain standing for the invocation, which will be given by myself.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
As we gather here today as members of the Township Council and members of the public, we are ever mindful of opportunities to render service to fellow citizens in our communities. Keeping this in mind, always the enduring values of life, exerting our efforts in those areas and those things upon which future generations can build with confidence. Let's continue to strive to make this a better world, and let us, all of us here who govern in the council and all levels of government, seek to gain wisdom, integrity, and strength as we do the best as we can for all people. Amen.
Amen.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll of the council.
Councilman Chase?
Here.
Councilwoman Francois? Councilman Kramer?
Here.
Mayor Levine?
Here.
Councilman Prasad?
Here.
Councilman Regan?
Here.
Deputy Mayor Sherman?
Here.
Councilman Vasanella? Councilman Wright?
Okay. We are here with our quorum. Thank you very much. We are following along on our agenda. No commendations or proclamations for today. Okay. If you would like any agendas or associated resolutions and ordinances, you can get them over by our clerk, Ms. McCarthy, and follow along. Usually you can find the agendas on our website the weekend before the meeting, and you can take a look at any ordinances, resolutions that we have. We always invite everyone to give his or her opinion to us via in person here, email, call, fax, whatever is your preference. So we are now at item number 6 on the agenda, Mayor's Report. And again, at any point, feel free to get up and look at get any of these items. In a couple moments, we'll get to public discussion. That's going to be the only time when the public can speak of items of a general nature. There'll be other times to speak about certain ordinances, but that's the only time of that, and I'll certainly let you know when that's ready to go. Our meetings are generally the second and fourth Tuesdays of the month, July, August, and December. We only have the second Tuesday of the month. Keep your eyes open. In March, there will be a few meetings specifically on our budget, and like all those are public meetings also. We play our meetings live and rebroadcast over our cable access channel. You can go to our website and get updates on all that's going on. We certainly invite that for everyone to see what's going on and inquire about how we do everything. So my mug for today is the Beatles. And I kind of picked them because they're almost the gold standard for entertainment in the 1960s and 70s, and forget if you like their quality, they were just big sellers and such as that. I was just reminded of them this past weekend when the Oscars, like it reminds me of the Oscars which are being handed out, and it's all very nice, a bunch of rich, beautiful people give awards to other rich, beautiful people so they can make money to become richer and more beautiful, and that's fine, and it's entertainment, and I peeked in a little myself. But this time of year also, we have our fire departments, our first aid squads, who are also giving awards. And that's for people who volunteer and give of themselves and aren't making any money at it. So even though those other things are very nice and very good, I think the people who really deserve the awards and the heroes are those people in town and all over the country who give of themselves, such as that. So let's, at least I'll try and always remember that. A few things going on in the past couple weeks. There was the 65th anniversary of Sri Lanka, and that was a big celebration held here in central New Jersey. The ambassador of Sri Lanka was there. I was invited to represent us, and that went very well. All the residents, all the people who are residents of our town and surrounding areas were very good, very grateful for what we do, and we're grateful to have them also. Small event happened recently. We're allocating money today for our chess program. I think that's very important. That's good for kids. I know Deputy Mayor Sherman has worked with that a bit in other areas also to bring that to light. And excuse me. Bless you. A couple of weeks ago, the library has a separate chess program, and through them I took on most comers, although it was only 10 kids there, playing all of them simultaneously. I've got a background in chess myself, and we finished before time ran out, before half the games were done, but the kids were very good. We'll give them some proclamations, and again, I know these video games are very good and entertaining and probably help your eye-hand coordination, but good old sitting and thinking and reading is, to me, a great thing to do. This might come to light soon. There's recently, and I won't go into details because I don't think people deserve it, a public criticism of how we handle our veterans' benefits. There's an extra $250 benefit to veterans, and they can do that. And I was perturbed to see that our staff and our council to a bit was maligned about that publicly. We built our Veterans Memorial. We have programs all the time. We have parades on Memorial Day. That's good for the whole town. But them and to cast aspersion on any of us, I think is really terrible and disgusting and kind of cowardice not to tell us by themselves. So the more we come out about this, I don't think people deserve it. Anyone can to be named, but if anyone wants to, you certainly can. And that's it. When sometimes all of us will make a mistake, but when something's thrown out at us or our staff, I think it's pretty bad. So that's all I have to say for now. That concludes the mayor's report. So we go to item number 7, Deputy Mayor's report, for Deputy Mayor Rosalind Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have just a few things. First, I'm pretty sure I had heard that Franklin celebrated its 215th year on February 21st, and I don't want that to go unnoticed, so none of us were there at that time, although some may have. I don't really know everybody's birthday, but I'm assuming not. So happy birthday to Franklin and to all of us who live here. The other thing, I had heard a criticism, not quite what the mayor was talking about. I'm sure you are aware that we have gone paperless with regard to printouts of our agenda and all of the attachments. And as a result of that, all of us have gotten these lovely little iPads from the township that we use, and all of the agenda is online, all of the attachments are online. So if you see us looking down and scrolling through this and reading things, it's because everything is now on the iPad. So it's not that we're being rude, and it's not that we're not paying attention to the people in the audience, but this requires some eye contact with this, so it looks like we're not paying attention, but it's not the case. That is a good thing for the township in the sense that we've saved, I'm going to say at some point, a lot of trees. We would get pretty thick packets at one time, so it's what we need to do in order to stay up with what's going on with the agenda. Last thing I just wanted to mention was an event that the mayor and I both attended, Somerset Christian College has moved to a location here in Somerset off of Apgar Road. This college has been flooded out twice and really devastated in the last flooding situation. They moved quite a few of their classes to Newark, but they had a commitment to stay in Franklin, and I am so pleased to say that they were able to accomplish that. They've gotten part of a building on Apgar Road, and they are now a fully accredited college, which is a wonderful thing. And they're growing continuously and looking obviously for new students, but what I'm really very, very pleased about is that they are still here in Franklin. They've been here for a very long time, and it would have been sad had they not been able to find a location to continue their program here, as well as branching out to Newark as they have done. And that's my report. Thank you.
Thank you. No, I'll take the liberty of interjecting one more happy birthday since you did that. And though some of it might not be as happy, this is obviously February 2013. In February 1913, 100 years ago this month, the United States income tax was made an amendment to the Constitution, so we've all been able to pay our tax for the last 100 years.
Good for accountants, right, Mayor?
Yeah, Accountants Full Employment Act, so what can I say about that, though? Okay, so we are now at item number 8. Public discussion. So this is the only time in the meeting someone can come and speak of a general nature. Again, there'll be times later where you can speak on specific ordinances, but if anything in general is on your mind, this will be the time. So, when there is a motion, I will
Move that the meeting be open for public discussion.
Seconded.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Okay, meeting is open for public discussion on any item of interest. And as is our policy, we ask you to keep your comments to 5 minutes, and we don't yield time. Can come up once per meeting. And please address all your comments to the council. I mean, once per meeting for public discussion. If you speak on the ordinances, that's fine too later. And if you'll hear a timer. When a tone goes off, that means 2-3 minutes has elapsed. After multiple tones, 5 minutes has elapsed, and I'll ask you to wrap up your thoughts. We're glad to hear what's ever on your mind. So anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand, and when I recognize you, yes, come to the podium and give us your name and address, please. Oh, is that on?
No.
Oh, and,
Because of the
You didn't start the timer yet, right?
No,
okay,
We fast forwarded.
I haven't started it yet.
We have.
okay.
Beep,
Okay,
beep, beep,
yes,
beep.
Mr. DiBiase. Okay, and please note, it's being audio, we're being video recorded, right, that's why it's got to go on, so we pick that up. So again, name and address, and let us know what's on your mind.
And keep close to the mic.
That's a good point. Keep 3 or 4 inches so we pick you up properly.
Ron DiBiase Jr., 147, 149, 151 Pierce Street, actually on that property. Actually, the reason I'm here tonight is a general nature, as you mentioned. I mean, that's why I'm here, but it's I own a small family-owned real estate business. We have a management company. I started the company with my father and my mother about 6 years ago now, 7 years ago now. And, we manage commercial real estate. Just to take a step back, as you know, when I was younger, my grandfather used to give me $1 every time I saw him. And he used to tell me, save it, buy a building someday. So I saved all those dollars, and in 2007, along with my family, we invested in a piece of real estate in Franklin Township, and we developed the shops at Pierce Street. If you're familiar with it, it's where Freddie's and Investors Bank are now. That was a lifelong dream for mine. I kind of consider it a pinnacle achievement for me. We never had developed commercial property before. That was the first piece of property I ever purchased. I bought that before I owned a house. It was really a big deal for me. We didn't inherit property. My parents didn't inherit property. We're a very small family-owned company, and it was, quite frankly, it was a large investment for us. It took a lot to make it happen. So what brings me here tonight is, I received my property record card the other day, and my real estate tax assessment is being increased for, I think, the 4th year in a row. If I could, can I hand something out to the council so you guys can follow along with what I'm saying?
Yeah, you got something. You got something for all? Yeah, and then we'll pass it on. Okay,
I won't
thanks.
speak all the way from the microphone.
Yeah, go ahead, you don't lose your minutes.
So, we broke ground in 2007. I delivered space in 2008. I built the entire project in 10 months, including the interior fit-out for the daycare center. That's including some construction delays, which shall go uncommented on right now. But basically, my real estate taxes have gone up every year since I delivered, and it's been a challenging economic environment, but we've managed to survive that. I've managed to deal well with that because I control costs very well. I put an inordinate amount of attention and time into this, and I feel that I have a competitive advantage in that regard. Unfortunately, things that are beyond my control have made the cost basis for my expense structure just really untenable. I pay a lot of money to the township for a lot of different things, in addition to real estate taxes. And just so you know, like this last year, my real estate taxes, I got a small appeal, and I think we paid $210,000, which is approximately, $5 and something cents a square foot. It comes out to approximately 62% of my operating budget. I paid a $205,000 COA fee before I can move anybody in. I pay sewer fees annually of $20,000 a year. I pay about $7,000 a year in water department fees. I pay $3,200 a year to re-permit the sewer structure underneath the site, which was permitted before we broke ground, and which is, concrete structures that have half-lives that are measured in decades, not years. But we have to inspect them annually, fill out reports quarterly, submit them to the township, and I have to pay for somebody to go down and open the manhole covers so that the town can inspect them because they don't have the apparatus to do it or the manpower to do it. What I'm getting at is I don't mind paying, and that, by the way, that is the only town I manage property all over the state. I manage 500,000 square feet of commercial space. It's the only town that I have to do.
2 minutes.
My point being is that just to get to the point, I don't have a lot of time left. I'm having a problem because I can't get tenants in the building. My cost structure is too high, and I don't mind paying more than residential taxpayers. I understand how this works, but I mind when I pay a lot more than other commercial taxpayers. I have a competitive disadvantage because there are many other sites that, quite frankly, are far preferable real estate. They have better tenant mixes, they are better locations, and they pay a lot less in real estate taxes. In the coming year, my real estate taxes are going to be 67% of my budget. The town makes more money on the building every year than all the owners do. I need a little help. I'm asking for a little help. I just want to be put in line with the rest of these taxpayers. I don't mind competing. I just mind when it's a rigged game. It's just too much to deal with. I really just need a little help is all I can really ask from the council. I'd like to go in and talk to the tax assessor again. I've called yesterday and today, unfortunately, and I usually can get in touch with Rick. I won't say that I can't. However, it really burns me when I call at 2 o'clock in the afternoon 2 days in a row and I don't get anybody picking up the phone. And I've had the same problem with the tax collector's office. You call during normal business hours and I have to wait for a call back so I can discuss when I can go have a meeting to plead my case. And all the while, my escrow payments have gone up. My tenants are struggling. I've renegotiated with 2 or 3 tenants. I've had tenants come to me say they can't afford to pay it, and it's really, quite frankly, hurt us a great deal. That's really it. I'll right on time.
Okay, I just want to ask a quick thing. I might ask our attorney, just so I understand where you're coming from.
Right.
It looks kind of self-explanatory, but I'm just looking at the last and the third from the last column.
Right.
So you're saying, okay, you named some key places in town. You're the top one. You're saying that's your assessment per square foot of property.
Right.
And these are the others.
Correct. And I'm at a $280 per square foot assessment. The next closest one I can find is 1075 Easton Avenue, which is at $250 a square foot, and then it drops way off. The commercial average for retail space is about $221 a square foot. You've got Cedar Grove Center, which everybody knows is on Cedar Grove Lane, is $214 a square foot. Franklin Commons behind it's a CVS anchored center. That's not including the CVS lot, but that's a CVS anchored development. Pays $200 a square foot. The Crossroads development, which is anchored by a ShopRite, pays $174 based on $174 a square foot assessment, assessed value on the ShopRite, and $225 on the 17,000 square foot parcel they have across from the ShopRite. I'm paying $280. My assessed value is $280 a square foot, and it's going up to $296. I'm way far out of line. I'm like, what,
Okay.
$60 above a square foot above the average? That amounts to millions of dollars of assessment and, you know, $50,000-$60,000 a year in tax. I just want to be put in line with everybody else. I'm not asking for a break. I expect to pay $450 a square foot in real estate taxes in a New Jersey development. I can tell you, I've done CAM audits for big management companies. It's my specialties. I'm very familiar with costs. I can rattle them off the top of my head. I can tell you I should pay 25 cents a square foot for common area parking lot lights. I should pay 50 cents a square foot max for garbage removal. I can tell you all this stuff off the top of my head.
Okay, I'm going to ask our attorney, Mr. Anone, if he has a
Well,
comment at this point.
my only comment is this, is you're not in the right place. You have the right to file a tax appeal. You have to do it by April 1st.
Right.
And, you know, these are all income-producing properties. They're based upon, you know, your income rolls, the rent you collect, your vacancy, the cap rate, all of those things. But, you know, all pretty standardized stuff. So it sounds to me like you just may have a tax appeal. You just
Right.
need to file a tax
And
appeal. Let me just finish, just because it might answer your question. The council plays no role in assessing property. The tax assessor, though a township employee, and though we set his hours, and is controlled by the county tax board and the state division of taxation. He literally is deemed to be an agent of the state for those purposes. If you came in here and told me that you were paying, you know, $900 a square foot, the council has no authority to order the tax assessor to change your assessment. Can't do it.
So let me ask you a question, because I filed a tax appeal. I filed a tax appeal for 3 years in a row.
Okay.
And I've been told by the tax assessor that I was put in line with everybody else, and I've been told that he reduced it to what everybody else, the best we could, you know, in line with what everybody else was paying. And there's a great deal of subjectivity put into the income and expense analysis. Again, this is what I do for a
Okay,
living.
stop for a second, and I'm sorry that you keep interrupting me, but you need to just let me finish.
Okay,
The county tax board
And then that'll be the end.
and the tax court are adversarial proceedings. You're not required to accept anything that the assessor gives you. You get an appraisal, you submit it to the county tax board. If you're not happy with their decision, you can submit it to the state tax court. But there is a process, and all I'm telling you is that process doesn't include the township council. So, once again, no matter what you tell us about what you think is wrong with your assessment, this council, not only don't they have the authority, it's inappropriate for them to try to instruct the tax assessor to do anything. We don't have any control over it. So you have to file, I know, to you it may sound strange, but it is.
It's not strange. I'm familiar with the process.
Okay, so then you know that you have to file a tax appeal.
And I will. And I'm commenting in a general manner because I came to the representatives, the elected officials of this town to air the problem that's a systemic problem that I'm being taken advantage of. Okay? And I've tried to resolve this through a tax appeal 3 times before.
Did you?
All right? And I've been told, it's been misrepresented to me that I was put in line with what other people are paying.
Okay.
Because these are preferable centers. They have better tenants, and I know they have better incomes.
Okay, I can't keep on.
I understand. I'll
All right.
digress.
Yeah.
But
I think, Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Regan?
thank you for the time.
I think the only thing we can resolve is that we'll ask the township manager to speak to tax assessor, so that way you do get a phone call tomorrow, because it is unacceptable that calling and not getting an answer. That's one thing we can help give guidance on. I truly understand the situation, and really, and it's as it is unacceptable to you about the situation, it is to us, the fact that we have no ability to do anything about taxes. You're not the first one to come for us.
Right.
But I do believe, and I know our township manager will at least be able to give the message that he should return your phone call.
I can actually tell you that Mr. Carabelli and I had a conversation about Mr. DiBiase's property today. Mr. DiBiase left a message for me yesterday, which was forwarded to Mr. Carabelli, who works on Tuesdays and Thursdays here in the building, and he and I had a conversation this afternoon in reference to the concerns that Mr. DiBiase has expressed here tonight. So Mr. Carabelli is currently looking at the situation, and will be contacting Mr. DiBiase about his his assessment. So that's already in the works, and it was done this afternoon.
Thank you, I
Okay,
appreciate that.
thank you. Councilman Kramer?
Well, I'll answer after you sit down.
Yeah, go ahead. Thanks.
And you made some very, very good points, and those points, I hope, will be listened to in the proper place. But there's a really good reason why the law is set up that council has no input in this. You don't want council to have input in this, because then if I like you, you'll get a tax break, and if I don't like, if you don't vote for me, you don't put a sign in your yard when I run, you don't get a tax break, or maybe you get a tax hike. So that's why it was separated from the politics. But you have a very good point, and I'm glad Mr. Regan said his point. If you have trouble getting in touch with the tax attorney, call my number, call his number, call any of our numbers. That's something we can be a part of.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else who would like to speak? Okay, yes, sir, then Mr. Tibbs after.
No.
My name,
Yeah, keep close.
my name is Chris Williams. I live at 20 Magnolia Road
Yeah.
in Somerset. I'm the new chairman of the Shade Tree Commission, and
Congratulations.
Yeah, congratulations.
yeah,
Glad to have you.
thanks. I don't know. It's such a good idea. We have been a tree city for 11 years running, and I have an application here for a 12th year. I need the mayor to sign it.
Oh, okay.
Okay. There's a resolution here from last year for an Arbor Day, and this year, I'm going to hold an Arbor Day on March 30th, a Saturday, I believe that is. So I need you to sign a resolution saying that we're going to celebrate Arbor Day on March 30th.
Okay, now, if you pass it to our clerk, she does everything she's got to do technically to get to me.
Okay.
When is it?
March 30th,
Okay.
yes.
That's good,
I have
Ms.
a-
McCarthy.
So
Where?
could you tell us a little bit about it? What, is this a celebration of some kind?
Well, yeah, we're going to plant some trees. Hopefully, if you have any suggestions, I'm up for it. I have about 30 trees to plant.
What type
okay.
of trees are they?
They're autumn, they're a maple tree,
Okay.
and a cherry tree.
Yeah, that's what
Bloom-
you're selling this year.
Yes, that will
Yeah.
be sold.
Yeah.
We have extra ones. We have a few extras that we're going to go and plant ourselves. I believe we sold 70 trees this year, which was quite a good year for us. So that's what we'll be doing, is planting those trees. Okay, so I'm going to give this to the town clerk, and then she'll make arrangements for
I
the
think
mayor
that's
to
what the
sign
mayor
it.
said.
Okay.
Yeah, again, if it goes to clerk, she does everything technically that I don't know about to get it done.
That's fine.
And it comes to me for signature.
Was something else. I guess that's about it. So,
Okay.
yeah. Now, hopefully I can get put up on the website, the Arbor Day celebration.
That we will.
That way I can get some,
Thanks.
we'll need some volunteers. We have 30 trees to plant. The township,
Terrific.
Township Public Works, I talked to them. They said they're going to dig me 30 holes. And if you have any suggestions on where you want to plant, I'm going to plant most of them in Memorial Park.
Mr. Tibbs will help
Well,
You have a,
volunteer some spots.
Bring his own shovel.
okay.
Evan Williams.
Yeah, it has to be on township property, so.
Yeah.
Okay.
can I ask a quick question while
Yes.
we still have time? I am the advisor to the Senior Advisory Committee, and there's a Boy Scout, an Eagle Scout, who's going to be planting some trees in Grosso Grove, which has lost a lot of trees, and they need pine trees. Do you have any connection that these trees don't work for them?
Pine trees, I don't have a connection to this year. I probably can make arrangements to purchase them next year,
Okay.
but
There's some
not
here.
this year. We have bare-rooted trees, so they have to be planted before they bud, which is around the second week of April. So that's why we're holding, usually Arbor Day is around the 25th or 26th of April, but we have to hold it earlier this year because of, we want to make sure we get the trees in the ground.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Just one
Yeah,
question.
Councilman Prasad.
Any of these trees can be used on JFK Boulevard? I think we've lost a few trees there.
I talked to the Public Works manager, or whoever's in charge over there, he said he doesn't want to plant the bare-rooted trees there because they never work out there. He would like to purchase some bald trees. So we can make arrangements, if we can make arrangements to buy more trees. I mean, that's the other thing I forgot. I knew it was something else. The tree ordinance hasn't been changed in 20 years. I would like to increase the cost of clearing sites, you know, for clearing trees, the cost of per tree, because we haven't done it in over 20 years. I think 1990 is when the ordinance went in.
Yeah, I had made a suggestion to Mr. Orsini to do that about 3 or 4 years ago, and he was opposed to it, so now we have new direction. Bring that forward, if
Yeah.
you bring a reasonable price forward.
Right. I believe we have $70,000 in the tree fund. So if we need to purchase trees, let me know, and we will purchase trees
Yeah.
for certain, as long as it's township property. We can authorize purchasing trees for that property.
So you could help the seniors in Grosso Grove and the
As long as
Eagle
it's-
Scout. It is, it's
it's-
township property.
Yes, we probably can.
All right, good. I'll let them know.
Okay.
Great, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Williams, thanks. Okay, anyone else? Mr. Tibbs, please. Never.
Make a motion to close.
Quick.
Hey, Mr. Williams, I'm glad you talked. See? Johnny's Tibbs, 25 Parkside. You know, I still have it here, Councilman. Mr. Williams, sir. These are all the trees that need to be replanted, and the council has already endorsed it. These are trees to be replanted in Naaman Williams Park.
Okay.
It's been endorsed by the council.
Use the mic, please.
Oh, yeah.
Right, Phil? It's been endorsed by the council, and they were supposed to plant them in Naaman Williams Park, 4 trees, and they say they were planted, Councilman Chase, and I think, what was the answer, Chase, remember? The trees, they said they were supposed to be planted, but they didn't appear. For some reason, they never appeared. So I would like very much for the council to let this gentleman plant those trees. Wise, you remember that trees that were supposed to be planted in Naaman Williams Park? The number was, and it's on the township property.
Okay.
Here you go, sir. That is my name and address. These are all the trees and the dimensions, and we would like, the township endorsed it already, that those trees can be planted in Naaman Williams Park.
How many trees?
4.
4, and maple trees are sufficient?
Is that what they are?
Excuse me, can you guys have this meeting later?
I mean, you could, but your 5 minutes is
Phil,
being used
Phil,
up, that's all.
Councilman Kramer, I'm really happy.
You only have a minute left, Johnny, so
And
talk
nothing
fast.
makes me happier than you being happy.
All right. Well, the first guy came here, take some of his time now.
Yes, sir.
A couple of things.
Yeah.
One, let me get this out of the way. The Naaman Williams Park pool. All right. Let me just give you an overview, Councilman Kramer, Councilman Reagan. These are the things that we would like to see happen. Now, based on what we would like to see happen, of course, in your budgetary restraints and whatever, but this I'm going to do them real fast. Number 1, that the pool be open from June through September, being at the end of the beginning of the end of the school year and the beginning of the following year. Okay, be in operation from 1 p.m. to 7 p.m. daily. Camp summer fees, which the parents have discussed to me that it's a terrible hardship for them to pay $300 per child. If it can be reduced down to $100 per child, perhaps it would lessen some of the hardships on them being able to feed their family, their kids, and so forth. That was expressed to me.
One second, excuse me, 1 second. Are you saying that?
Do you want to?
I'm sorry,
Oh,
Mr. Mayor.
no, I was going to say, at least stop
I'm
the
sorry.
clock, or we can come back.
I'm sorry, I'm sorry. Let
me finish,
Okay.
Councilman.
Let it roll.
On summer camp, reduce so that allow more children to participate in summer camp activities. Number 4, all summer camp period pool. After the summer camp period, that the pool be open daily from kids from 10 to 15 years of age. Daily, from 10 to 15 after the camp period. during the camp period, the kids are going to be in the pool and so forth. If they want to come back, if they have age, then fine. Okay. And if that happens, during the weekends, and this is senior citizens, they are also part of this whole park process. During the weekends, be reserved for special adults on days of special times that they can be used, that senior citizens is asked to use the pool. You know, perhaps certain days on the weekends, there might be a senior citizen day or something. They got in the pool last year, thankfully, and they would like to see that happen again this year, on the weekends. Okay. And on the back of that sheet you guys got last year, they would like the elimination of all those restrictive rules and regulations which they felt like they didn't want the kids to get in the pool, so they put all the rules and regulations on the back of it. I hope that you can see that sheet. I think it's always on file, and they all be eliminated so the kids can go in the pool and have some fun. Putting on shoes, and they couldn't have no balls in the pool, and they couldn't sit on the side of the pool, and there was a whole lot of restrictive stuff. Okay. Now, that's just an overview, Councilman Reagan and Councilman Kramer, of what the community would like to see happen. And if we can work that in within y'all's talks, but another thing, I wish you would tell me the date that you would want me to come. I would like to come to when you discuss the budget. I was asked to do that whenever that happens. Okay? All right, that's the end of that. Okay. Also, I know Councilman.
Mr. Mayor. His time is up.
Oh, did it pass?
Oh, I'm sorry. Sorry.
Trying to use
Give him another 30 seconds because we both interrupted him. Sorry, Johnny.
Okay.
Up the clock.
That was
That was the first guy here. You didn't stop him.
I tried.
I'll count. Anne Marie.
It's not, it's my responsibility.
Okay. Okay.
Any
I'm
fault
sorry.
rests with me.
I'm sorry. Okay.
Okay.
I wish Councilman Kimberly was here, because this year, Mayor, I would like very much that you guys to think about, and every town in New Jersey has a summer program for the kids. It's a work summer program for the kids. And Franklin, we used to have it all the time, but we don't have a SCAP anymore. So perhaps it came to the county government. So somehow somebody has to take the initiative to get the summer program for the kids, so the kids have jobs. They only run during the summer. All the kids have jobs. They work in municipal buildings in different parts of the township, and they had a little money for the summer. But nobody is participating. I mean, initiating the interest of getting that done. I say it every year. I'll do it again this year. Okay. I'm almost finished. This is very important.
Okay.
There was an article in the paper today. Did you guys see this article today? About the Franklin policy unfair to Navy veterans? You did see this article?
That's
and I'm ashamed of you guys.
Donnie, it's not true.
This isn't true?
No.
Yeah, you need to collect some data.
Okay. The tax man gave me his tax break on property.
You're right. It'll all come out very shortly.
Okay. And one last thing, I'm finished. Councilman.
10 seconds. Go ahead.
I can't even think of my own council.
Just point.
Call right. I'm sorry. Call. At the end of Oak Street, before you come into the senior citizen complex, which is Parkside, the potholes is about 2 foot deep.
Okay. Is that?
And hopefully that they can. Yes, sir. And if that can be addressed. Oaken Fuller. Yes, sir. Right there. Right there.
Duly noted.
We can do that.
Thank you very much, sir.
Mr. Tibbs, thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Okay, we're in public discussion. This is the only time to speak things of a general nature. Is there anyone who hasn't spoken who would like to? Dr. Eck. Just give us your name and address.
Dr. John Eck, 595 Western Canal Road, Zarephath. I'm the president of Zarephath Health Center. Some of you don't know about us. We're a free clinic that we've been in town for. This is our 10th year. And we've seen now close to 50,000 patients. Most people don't know about us. We do it quietly. It's part of our faith, and we've done good outreach. I'm just coming here just to give you all a heads up of what's going on. Our healthcare system is fraying. We are seeing now many, many patients from Medicaid offices. They can't find doctors. No one will take the Medicaid. And even though we're expanding the Medicaid roster, we can't find doctors that will take them. So we have a crisis on our hands with mental health, substance abuse. We have a substance abuse counselor that works with us. We're arranging to work with Carrier and other places to see if we can get some help. And I'm just seeing an overwhelming problem with depression with the 2 hurricanes. On the good news, we've had over $500,000 worth of medicines donated, and it's all free will. We don't get any government, we don't get a dime from the government. And we have dozens of volunteers. We have cardiologists and dentists now, and we have a large pharmacy. And we're very thankful and we're appreciative of, I've been here for 20 years. This is the first time I've ever mentioned anything about what we do. We don't seek attention. But I am very concerned about my town because I'm having to encourage people who reside here to stay here because their houses are underwater and the taxes are going up. And I just want to help. I'm not asking for a dime. I'm just saying that our model is the cheapest model because we see patients for free. And we can take a lot of your Medicaid patients and see them. We'd like to expand and save the taxpayers some money. So I thank you if you have any questions.
Well, if anyone wanted to
Deputy
make a
Chairman.
contribution, would you accept contributions?
Sure.
Is there,
It's a Zarephath Health Center, and it's right at 595. And I don't speak usually even at the church at Zarephath. I don't get up and speak. I haven't spoken in 10 years, but it's quiet. People know about us. And we have wonderful volunteers. And we have medical students that come by and we're teaching. And my big concern right now, the biggest is my concern is mental health. This thing that happened up in Connecticut, it's only ticking time bomb. We are seeing people, the county jail asked that we be the doctors to take care of all the inmates, violent offenders on medication. Hospitals, they don't give us any support, neither Somerset or St. Peter's, but they discharge severely depressed patients and they send them to our clinic, and they sometimes have a list of $600 worth of medicines they can't buy. So the worrisome thing is we're going to have a lot of these people, violent people, at our doorstep. And this is a public health issue. And maybe at some date we can sit down with the council and talk about this and have an outreach just to see what we can do. We're part of the national public health system for liability. The government gives us free malpractice for what we do there. And we have a bill before New Jersey, now it's already written, that any doctor who donates 4 hours a week for free, the state will pick up your private malpractice coverage in your office. So that eliminates Medicaid costs. It saves billions of dollars potentially because physicians then will be encouraged to do what we're supposed to be doing anyhow. But anyhow, just a heads up. And I really thank you all I love this town. And most of the people there are minorities, illegal aliens, undocumented. I love the Latino. We speak mostly Spanish there most nights.
I'm sorry, what street is it on? You said
595 Weston Canal Road,
Weston Canal Road.
where the little school is, the ones, used
Yeah.
to be Alma Prep.
And you'd put Zarephath,
We're
New
right,
Jersey?
yeah, Zarephath, yeah. It's
Okay.
a health center, and
Well,
I don't
thank
usually
you
make
for
a
what
big.
you're
You just
doing.
referenced that earlier today, with Somerset Christian College.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So,
Wow,
but
that's
we
wonderful.
just have so much, and the food bank is so busy. We have a food bank, clothing, and that's been, working. We got lots of wonderful volunteers, and it's all interfaith, interdenominational, and good bunch of people. I love them. Great.
It's so quiet, I never heard of it, but it's wonderful what you're doing. Thank you.
It's our 10th year. It's 50,000 patients now.
Wow.
We'll be having a celebration when the 10th anniversary, which will be September.
Wow.
So, okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Okay, thank you. And I know you might not like the publicity, but didn't I read Somerset County's honoring your wife as one of the Women of the Year?
Yeah, she couldn't go, she did show up. She
Oh,
didn't go to
okay.
the conference.
Ah, okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Nice.
Anyone else from the public who hasn't spoken? Yeah, thanks.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes.
Upon seeing no further public coming up to speak, I make a motion to close the public session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Public discussion is closed for this meeting. Thank you very much for the input, appreciate it very much. We now come to item number 9, council comments. I guess, Councilman Regan, you want to start at this time?
Mr. Mayor, actually, I really have no comments tonight, so in the spirit of moving things along, I will pass on to my fellow peers.
Thank you. And Councilman Chase?
Well, yesterday I attended a meeting in Griggstown, formerly a meeting of the Millstone Valley Preservation Coalition, with the Assistant Commissioner and Director of Parks for DEP and the Superintendent of the DNR Canal State Park, and I won't go into all of the issues that were discussed, which were mostly limited to Griggstown, but I did get the chance to ask, what about the bridge over the canal at the end of DeMott Lane, which went out in Hurricane Irene? And I was told that, well, it's in design now. It seems to me it's taken an awfully long time to get to that point. I said, well, divers had to go down to check the abutments. Well, I heard that last year. But at least they say the money has not been taken away from the project. A lot of projects that money was planned for, the money is being reserved for rebuilding from Hurricane Sandy. But it's somewhere in the works. The bridge proposed at the Somerset Diner is being considered at the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission. So I thought these were two things of somewhat general interest, and of course we're just trying to go ahead with a restoration of the bridge tender's house, where the coalition got a grant, but it's the kind of grant that you do all the work and then get paid at the end, and they don't have any money, so the township is acting as their agent, and the contract has been let, but apparently there's still one more permit needed from the Delaware and Raritan Canal Commission. The deputy commissioner said he thought it was something that could be given out by the executive director of the commission, wouldn't need to wait for a commission meeting, but any day now that restoration should start. So I think that's all the comments I have. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Phil Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Very briefly, I just jumped outside and talked to Dr. Eck. He's going to come by with some information about that bill, and he'll be giving it to our master clerk. And if we could put together a resolution supporting that, that would be great. That's the least we could do. The mayor, Councilman Regan, myself, and Mayor Heck from Millstone were at the swearing in, I forget the exact words of it, for the East Millstone First Aid Squad. The what was it?
Recognition.
The name of the ceremony?
Officer installation.
Officer installation. Thank you. There's a member out here. And a very nice ceremony, dedicated people, and the mayor spoke very well there as he swore them in.
Not this one, Mayor Heck.
Both mayors spoke well. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Carl Wright.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Real quick, the Housing Authority met, and Mrs. Hazel Burnett, she's our Executive Secretary for Franklin Township for the Housing Authority, and the Senior Citizens Building is moving along pretty nicely. We have it all rented out, except I think 2 units, which is run by RPM, and the surrounding area, as far as housing is concerned, is pretty good. The redevelopment agency front, as councilman for the 4th Ward, I want the residents to know that we are improving the conditions and the area all around the 4th Ward, specifically toward Route 27, an area that, as that area improves, we hope that the other areas in that area will move up a little bit. The Land Use Committee will meet tomorrow, correct? We have a meeting tomorrow?
It's been canceled.
Been canceled. Well, the Land Use Committee meeting has been canceled for tomorrow night. The fireworks are on our agenda later on this evening so that we can discuss the fireworks. And I wish Mr. Tibbs was here because he brought us some issues with Neiman Williams Park Pool. And because I'm the council liaison to the Recreation Department, I want to give him some information just to know that it's a safety issue with rules and regulations. If you don't have rules and regulations, then you have problems. And we want to protect the children and the township from getting hurt in any particular way, any way possible. So you need rules and regulations to keep everybody happy and to keep everybody on the straight and narrow. And with that, Mr. Mayor, I'm done.
Thank you. Councilman Rajiv Prasad.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The Human Relations Commission met last night, and they again endorsed the resolution in support of the Neiman Williams Pool and for everything to be done to make it available to the local residents and keep the kids productively occupied with something healthy to do.
That's one of our main concerns, is to keep everybody happy in that community and using the pool.
Right. I'm with Councilman Wright on that, and I support it. And the other thing that happened last night was that we had the Assistant Superintendent of the Board of Ed and the school district there talking about their building plan and a referendum that it will surely go to the voters sometime in September for a special election. And by March 15th, they'll have a definite plan to present to the voters. And my impression of it, and this is just my impression, that rather than, trying to find Band-Aid fixes, we need to have a long-term strategy and a plan rather than trying to find, right now you've got kids from Franklin Park being bused to Elizabeth Avenue, and small kids, kindergartners, etc., spending 45 minutes to an hour in the bus. And so hopefully that'll change with their plan. But we really need to think about it and ask ourselves as a community, what do we want to do with our school system? And, I have some friends who moved into town and have young kids, and the first thing they said was, I hear the school system's not so good, so I'm sending them to a prep school on Cedar Grove, and then I'm going to send them to Rutgers Prep. And I said, that's the wrong approach because, you're spending a lot of money, and overall, if that's what a lot of people are doing, they're not getting the same kind of resources that the collective school system can provide. And secondly, if we put the resources into our school systems, hopefully we'll get them at par with other school systems and be number one in the state, in the country as a place to live with the best quality of education for our kids. So I would recommend that we look at what the spending is in East Brunswick or Marlborough or Montgomery or North Brunswick on the education component of the tax assessment and see how we compare, and then do some soul searching whether we owe this to our kids or not. So that's something I would ask Councilman Kramer, who's the BOE liaison, to invite these people to come and present, and let's have a debate on and a discussion on the future of our education. And it does impact the property values here in Franklin, so it's everybody's investment. So let's have that, and whenever they're ready to present it, let's go ahead and have that presented. I went to see my doctor this morning, and he is a local businessman and commercial real estate taxes. I got a yearful from him that is the last 5 years. And you don't want to have that discussion with your doctor, especially when he's examining you. But he complained to me that his taxes have gone up 10% every year for the last 4 years. And I told him what he has to do is go see the assessor and appeal it. I couldn't help him, but that's the advice I gave him, just like we told Mr. de Blasio to do. But we need to really think about what's going on and try to keep that. The other thing that the doctor was complaining to me, of course, was about his malpractice rates. And with Dr. X, volunteering, I'll be making a call to him saying he better start volunteering and try to get his rates down. I think it's a great opportunity. And he is a primary care physician, so he could help in that area. Beyond that, just would like to request that we reinstate Ben Franklin up there, and hopefully we'll get Martin Luther King up here. Yeah.
I had a request to put Benjamin Franklin behind
Well,
you, Councilman, but if you'd like
The
to
old
leave him
timers
here,
are on that side, and the more modern.
I will certainly have him hung here, if that's...
The 20th century is on this side.
Very good.
So, anyway, so that's just a thought that, and I'll pay for the Martin Luther King portrait. Yeah.
Not us.
So, with that, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you. He did point to us when he said the old timer.
No, I think he meant you, Brian. Brian, I think he meant you.
Yeah, it was like, I'm not the oldest person on the
You're not?
Deputy Mayor Roz Sherman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a couple of quick things, but one thing I would like to point out, I've heard a lot of, several issues today about taxes. I often look at the rankings when the newspapers put out articles about the tax structure in various communities. Franklin is far, far from the highest tax rate in this area, in the county, and including several Middlesex County communities. So an individual may indeed have a problem, and they are encouraged to go to the tax assessor, have an appeal, do whatever is necessary, but it is a little disingenuous to say that Franklin's taxes are out of control or so bad that people can't do business here. It is not true. Franklin's tax rate has usually been right in the middle of the pack, and sometimes it's even on the low side. So statistically, people need to look at those numbers, but certainly if you have a particular issue, you need to do a tax appeal. I just wanted to make that point because it's something I watch very carefully when I see those statistics in the newspaper. The other issue Mr. Tibbs brought up was a jobs program for the summertime for our students. I know we would love to be able to do that, and it's something that, if it has been a historic thing that was done in Franklin, it is the heart of this community to want to help our children, but there is no money in the budget for that, unfortunately, and our own hiring is frozen. There's very little that's being done in that regard, but as soon as there are enough revenues to justify it, it's a wonderful program and something that the township should definitely get involved with, but unfortunately today it's not something we can do. With regard to the cultural arts program, I had a very, very nice meeting with Tony Jackson, who heads up the arts programs in the schools, and we're going to be doing some significant partnering with the schools on a lot of our programs, so I'm looking forward to working with them. We're going to start a jazz jam program. Now it's scheduled to the end of March. We've had some delays, but you'll be hearing more about that as we get closer to that date. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. And now for my comments, and I don't have any. So, following footsteps of Councilman Regan. So now we come to item number 10 on the agenda, council discussion items, the first of which is 4th of July fireworks celebration. And Mr. Vornlocker, you're asking our fire officer, Mr. John House, to discuss things with us. And I think there's a memo in front of us also.
There is. The primary reason why I asked for this to be on the agenda tonight as a council discussion item is the need for some decisions to be made tonight, as further on in the evening on the consent agenda is the awarding of the contract for the purchase of the fireworks this year. And there's some financial considerations to be given here tonight as it relates to whether or not we will adjust the fireworks display or what have you. As we go into this discussion, you'll see where I'm going with this. As you're all aware, we launched the fireworks from back in the back corner of the municipal complex. We can get into specifics as to size of shells and fallout zones, but the truth is the largest shell that we use creates an issue with the newly installed synthetic turf field at Middlebush Park. The synthetic turf field is a petroleum-based product. It burns. If a burning ember from a firework were to fall on it, it would cause damage to the material. I had John House and Tom Zilnick, our town engineer, and John, our fire prevention official, do a little research as to things that we could do to minimize our risk, things that we could do to alter the display so that the fields are less likely to have embers fall on them, some precautionary measures that we could take, some that are relatively inexpensive, some that would be very expensive. I'll let John just go through some of those ideas that we've had, and then he'll be available, as will I, for any questions that council might have. John?
I kind of thought you were doing
really
really well there.
Huh? You did all the work, buddy. You get to do all the talking.
Excuse me. As you see in the memo, the only guarantee is to not hold them, which I know everybody doesn't want to do. So we came up with basically three options. The first of which would be we'd purchase fire retardant tarps, and they would be rolled out to cover the fields. That's about $30,000. The second option, they typically do this when you have chairs and things on those synthetic fields also, would be to cover it in plywood. That is very expensive. That's over $100,000, $101,000, and that's also very labor intensive. The third option is where we do a combination of things. First, we reduce the size of the shell from the maximum size that we currently use is 6 inch to get the fields out of the fallout zone, I think we'd have to reduce it to 4-inch, move them. That would also allow us, if we reduce them to 4-inch, to move them slightly towards the senior building, because the circumference of the fallout zone would be smaller, so we'd be able to move it towards, in that direction, and still keep the public safe. And then we would also set up sprinklers and fire hoses and things to wet the field immediately before, and our recommendation would be during the actual fireworks themselves. Just so the council knows what to try to compare the difference of the shows. The Palace show that many of you have seen, their maximum size shell is 2-inch. The Somerset Patriots ballpark, the maximum size shell they use is 3-inch. So if you, those are, nice shows. Ours would still go a little bit higher than those. The inch, for each inch of a shell, the firework goes up about 100 feet. So a 4-inch shell, the shell would go up 400 feet. The effect that that's going to have on some of the public is, if they're not in the municipal complex or near the municipal complex, if they're blocks away where they typically used to see that, some of the fireworks in the air, they're not going to see that. That's basically the difference.
John, if I could just interrupt. We also had an opportunity to speak today with the company that does the display, and they basically echoed what John said as far as the size of the shell versus who would be able to see them. If we were to scale back from the maximum of 6 to 4-inch, which, by the way, the bulk of our fireworks show is 4 inches or less. There are only, a small number of shells that exceed that size. Those are, the ones that go very high. And what he equated it to was basically someone who was 5 blocks away or more probably wouldn't be able to see it, and they might have been able to see those higher launched shells in the past. So there's a minimal impact on the people who would be here in the complex.
Mr. Mayor, are we open for questions, or are you?
Yep,
Okay.
Yeah, Deputy Mayor Sherman.
A couple of things, John. The $30,000 option is a lot less than what we had talked about at the committee, so that's almost a relief that it's only 30, and that would cover 2 fields if we were to do that. So the wetting of the fields is only in the instance where you go to the smaller shells and you move it closer to the senior center. Is that correct? You wouldn't wet the fields if you have the covers on them.
Correct.
Right,
You would
okay.
not. You would not.
All right, so.
I think we, and I probably should have talked about the size of the shells. We may want to limit the size of the shells, even if, no matter which option we chose. Even if we went with those fire retardant tarps,
Yeah.
we may not want to take the risk of debris falling
Okay.
on that.
So either way, it will reduce the shell size. But here's my question. What if the wind whips up? What if they're, even with the 4-inch shells, by having moved it, let's say we take the risk and you decide you're going to water down the fields. I guess there's always a risk, isn't there?
I didn't want to go read my entire memo. Yes, just because the fields are not in the fallout zone, there is a risk that embers are going to fall on those fields. And that's why we would, if you're asking my opinion,
Right.
we have to do something, either put the tarps on it, wet the fields, put the plywood. We have to do something. Otherwise,
And if I recall our discussion, if embers fall, it's not like one of these little rugs where you can cut out a piece and you can replace a little patch. Is
Well,
that like-
we actually looked into that.
Okay.
That was, I knew that would be a question
Okay.
tonight, so we checked. We can make spot repairs
You can,
on the
okay.
synthetic turf. Each square foot of repair, if it was a square foot in size, would be about $750 to $1,000 to repair. So it is repairable. You know, the issue would be, hopefully, you know, we have fire service on scene in it, we limit the burn to a very small area, and, you know, if it were to happen, but, and that it would only be one and not multiple spots, but it can be repaired. It's not like we lose a $1.6 million field because there's a little spot, you know, in the corner that
Okay,
got burned.
Good, well, that's better news than what we were talking about. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, the field, the maker of the company that supplied the field agreed that if the field was wet, that would significantly reduce the chances of something happening to it.
Thank you.
Okay, Councilman Kramer.
I saw another option in your memo of moving to Colonial Park. Has that been, and to that matter, we own a lot of various spaces around town.
Well, this has been looked at on a number of occasions over the past 15 years or so, as far as alternate locations. Colonial Park is a county park. The county also sponsors fireworks. I don't know how agreeable they would be to having another fireworks display in one of their parks when they sponsor fireworks themselves. But we could certainly ask. But the issue here is the remainder of our properties don't provide adequate parking. So this really is the only township-owned property where we have nearby parking and even on-street parking in the back in Middlebush that allows for us to have that number of people in one place.
But, well, I would still want you to find out about Colonial Park.
I'm saying I can certainly make an inquiry as to whether or not it would be available. I would imagine that there'll be an additional cost factor to rent the park.
Mr. Mayor?
Yeah, Councilman Wright?
Having sat with this baby for the last 4 years of fireworks, and knowing that we don't give too much back to the public, where they actually can see it and come and enjoy it. So, yes, I do want the fireworks to stay here. I enjoy the fireworks, and I'm more than sure everyone else does. The vendors definitely line up, and the community definitely lines up. Now, option one for $30,000, in my opinion, everybody, I don't think it's going to kill anybody. And the reason why I would go with the tarp on the field is that it's a one-time expense, and you can use it over and over again. Am I correct with that, or is that a one-time deal?
It's not a one-time deal, but from what we, just so you understand, we had only a short time to put all this together, but the information that we have so far is there's probably about a 5-year lifespan on those.
Okay, a 5-year lifespan.
It's not a one-time forever.
But a 5-year lifespan.
And it could be extended a little bit because of it depends on the amount of use and everything else from what we've.
Well, let's just go on your 5-year, lifespan, because if we go any other direction, you got a little problem there. Even if it costs us $40,000, 20 per field, I think it would be cheaper than doing anything else. I think our residents would appreciate it because they can come here, park here, freebie all the way around. They're not paying for it, so why not give it to them? And as far as the tarp is concerned, I believe that's open space we're putting out there, Mr. Manager?
Is it open space funding using for the park? Yes.
Yeah. So it would come out of the Open Space Trust Fund, I'm asking? Or is that an issue? Is that a little tricky one?
I'm looking at our township attorney, and I would say that at its face, yes, since it's being purchased to protect an asset that was purchased with open space funds. I And he's nodding his
Sounds about
head
right.
yes, so it sounds about right.
And number two, I already have the money because you gave it to me in taxes, and you expect me to spend it wisely. Am I not correct in that issue? So, to our residents out there in Franklin Township, I think that the only way to go and to continue to have this in our backyard is to go with option one and make it happen. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilman Regan and then Councilman Prasad.
The July 4th, so July 4th this year is a Thursday, okay? So that means the fireworks would be scheduled for the Friday prior, so like...
No, they're actually scheduled for the 3rd this year.
They're scheduled, oh, so it would be the 3rd. Okay. So the costs associated, all right, so it seems like there's an opinion that option one cost would come out of open space funds. At least that option is being looked at. Option two, I guess, I'm not sure where the costs for that would occur. If that was looked at. And option three is 15,000, reduce the size of the shells, and then it's still a $15,000 increase
All right,
to that, correct?
One of the last lines in that paragraph, we hope in option three,
It's your best guess, it's going to be 15.
well, we
But-
think we're hoping it's going to be less. We understand the Board of Ed may have one of these sprinklers,
All right.
and we've heard some other places. If they have them and we can borrow them, the
Okay.
town doesn't have to go out and purchase them. And then,
But that costs certain, that would,
Wouldn't-
the cost for option three, I would
if
think
you
would
went out
be a
and
hard,
bought the
yes.
2 sprinklers and.
Right,
and
but
then-
whatever the cost associated with option three, I think that would be a hard sell to say that's coming out of the open space funds. And then, so,
It's not,
pardon me?
listen, it's not fire hose, it's different hose.
No, I'm sorry, you overheard me talking to Councilman Sherman. Can't we get someone standing at each corner with a fire hose and wet the field down that way?
We were gonna do that in addition to
Cannon.
it's called like a water cannon. It's a gigantic sprinkler. Sod farms and stuff use something similar to this.
But, so in option three, though, whether there's sprinklers or someone holding the hose, and in that way, we're actually just putting more demands on our volunteer fire department to actually have someone there stand out. I mean, the volunteers we get that night, last year, if I recall, all the police and the fire, they came up with it, but then the police volunteered their time. So we'd be asking residents and volunteers to do more. For option three. So the other option here is, we talked about possibly Colonial Park. I do see it as a viable option of not having the fireworks this year. I know it's something I enjoy thoroughly. I think it's very good for the township, but, with these increased costs, where are we in the funding of the event? Do we... I don't know who has it, is that money already in the bank and ready to go if there wasn't these issues for the fire?
Well, we're going through the financial
Councilman, right.
stage so that when we formed the committee, I think it was last month or the month before, when we actually came back, depending on what we do tonight, so to speak, the form letters are all ready to go to all of our vendors, and every year, they've covered our costs. 100%. So it's not like we got to dip inside of our treasury, because I believe the council, and Councilman Kramer can back me up on this or give me some insight, we voted not to use the township treasury
Right.
for any 4th of July.
Right.
And for the last 3 years, along with Bill Gripper, who's been our chairman, we have delivered on the 4th of July.
Right, last year, I remember.
No cost.
There was a crisis at the end. It was a last-minute crisis. We had to temporarily allocate it, so that way the township was covering if the fund didn't. It ended up getting it. But I do recall I do
manager
recall what
has-
happened last year.
I can give a little
More
insight. As a result of the fundraising efforts last year, there's approximately $21,000 in the trust, give or take a couple $100. Don't hold me to the exact number. And I debated bringing this up tonight, but I will bring it up now because it's gone to finances. There is, I received a letter indicating that a local business has an interest in underwriting the cost of the fireworks this year, which is $15,000, which is on your agenda. That's the contract that needs to be awarded. That $15,000 would come out right now from that $21,000 balance in the trust. So what you can look at right now, before any fundraising has been done so far this year, if in fact the fireworks are covered by the underwriter, then there's $21,000 available currently without any fundraising having taken place.
Thank you.
And we should give them full publicity, like the Macy's 4th of July fireworks.
Well, we're working on that, as is your chairman, but what I'm getting at is I'd rather not indicate who it is because none of that has been sealed yet.
Right.
So we should save that conversation for later.
Councilman Regan?
Different point.
I think you were in the middle.
So again, I think we should look at the option of not having it or going to 3. I mean, if the majority of the shells few are in the 5-inch and 6-inch, and the majority of them, and whether that's 80%, are in the 4-inch or less, then I don't see the harm, and I don't think it will significantly take away to reduce it to 4-inch shells. That's just one person's opinion.
Okay, Councilman Prasad, and then Councilman Chase.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I would strongly urge that we look at the Colonial Park option. Reason being that, you know, if we ran the fireworks on the opposite side of the lake, I think it'll be a beautiful setting. And also, it gives a lot of parking. Or you could have near the new pavilion some kind of a stage where you could put on some of your entertainment that we had. And if we worked it out with the county, and the thought of doing it jointly with the county could be a possibility as well, but it still puts Franklin on the map as the host of the fireworks. So if we can work that out, you know, we should try and do that, and we'll share the credit with the freeholders. I'm sure they'll love to be part of it. And beyond that, we can look at, you know, if we have to do it in the township, then all these options are there, and I think option 1 that Councilman Wright said, but I don't think not having them is an option. And I feel strongly about it. I put my money where my mouth was last time, and I will do so again this time. So we're going to have it. And, you know, we'll find a way to fund it and find a solution for it. But it does something for building the Franklin community together, and it matters. So it's important, and let's do it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Chase?
Well, I don't see what's wrong with option 3, except that we don't know just how much it'll cost, but it would cost considerably less than option 2. And hopefully, if we can borrow sprinklers, et cetera, much, much less. I would suggest, well, we can certainly explore Colonial Park. If we can't do Colonial Park, I would suggest trying option 3 and with no more than 4-inch shells. And if it doesn't seem to work out, if we have to put a couple of patches in the field because of falling embers that exceeded the capacity of the spraying to prevent burning, then we can patch and next year go to option 1, to the tarp option. You know, have a little more of a sense of don't look at the open space fund as an bottomless well from which you can draw from for anything that is connected with the parks, and therefore it's okay, whereas anything else is not in the budget and not okay. I'm always concerned about not spending any more of the open space fund either than we really need to.
I just have a question. I mean, obviously, before the fields were made into soccer fields, obviously, I guess that would have been in the fallout zone in the past. Was there any damage in years gone by from
We
fallout?
did have some small fires and everything, but it didn't matter. It was grass. Who cares?
Okay, but they're fired.
They were put
department's
out.
there to put out?
They were put out, you know, quickly. And we actually didn't even have fields really there before. If you remember, it was just grass. So
Okay. Okay. You know, I
yeah, true open space, exactly.
tend to think Councilman Wright's arguments are good. It's something nice for the town. We're giving back. On something like the tarp, I guess we have to figure out how to store them, make, partially a one-shot deal, which could work and keep the display nice and as is. So I think he made good points there. Councilman Kramer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So I'll just say the Councilman Wright is my friend, my very good friend. The one thing I disagree with, is you've paid your tax money, so I already have the money, so I can just use it. I don't look at tax money that way, but I do kind of agree. Well, first of all, I certainly agree with, if we can do it at Colonial Park, do it at Colonial Park. And I like the artistic idea of the lake in front of it. It would be quite beautiful. I think the cheapest one is option one, getting tarps, because you get 5 years, perhaps roughly 5 years out of it. So if it's $30,000, that's $6,000 a year. $7,000-ish a year if it's $40,000. So that does seem the cheapest. You do have the spreading and unspreading and the storing issue. I have to agree with Councilman Chase. I don't like the idea of using open space money for it. Harry Weber actually said, predicted the open space fund would become the new slush fund. He said that 10 years ago. And I do think we should try to protect it as much. But, if we are going to have the fireworks, I would say protecting the fields would come before the bouncy kid toy things. So there's some relief of money in case we don't get the money that perhaps we could do at the end. We would probably have to, just like we have rain days, we might have to have a wind day if we're not putting tarps or don't feel secure about the tarps, that if the wind exceeded a certain amount in the direction towards the field, we may have to hold off the fireworks or have them on a different day. Although if the tarps were there, or the wetted field, or whatever precaution, maybe we wouldn't have to do that. But I do think option one is the cheapest. I agree with you on that because of the longevity of it. I would like to leave the open fund money untouched with this.
Well,
Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay, Councilman Wright, and then Council.
While I agree with my
Deputy
friend
Mayor
here,
Sherman.
the Open Space Trust Fund is not bottomless, okay? And we're going to do a lot of parks this year. We have a lot of parks on tap to be built, a lot of parks to be rehabbed, so this is definitely not a bottomless pit. Now, in looking at option one, there's a lot of movement that can be done on option one. Depending on the amount of money we raise, is another option there that can flow over toward the TARP maneuver to put on there. So I am definitely not disagreeing with you, but I think we can do a lot of things with, even if it was $40,000. I think we can do a lot of movement, but it would not all be right here, right now.
No, and perhaps what, if, let's say it were 40,000, the town could give the fireworks trust fund a loan. Let's say they only came up with 10,000 of that
Right.
this year. The town pays the 40,000, but next year's fundraising goes back into, some of it goes into surplus to pay back for it. So I think there's ways we can play with it.
I would definitely be along with you on that program. And again, it all comes back to, we collect a heck of a lot of taxes here. And I want to give something back to our residents, and notwithstanding Colonial Park, I think the space that I want is right here at the township. So I could, be persuaded to go elsewhere, but this is my first spot, and option one would be where I would go. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor Sherman?
I was going to suggest that when Mr. Grippo goes out on his campaign for raising funds, it would certainly be something to put in that letter to suggest that we need to raise this amount of money to protect our fields so that we can ensure that we can continue to have the fireworks here at the municipal complex. I am concerned about parking in the Colonial Park, but obviously that has to be analyzed. I do think that those funds can be raised. I think he'll find contributions for it.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay, Councilman Regan.
All right, so again, making an argument for number 3. First of all, I believe the math plays out that the tops are good for 5 years, but if we had to get sprinklers, my sense is those sprinklers would last longer than 5 years. So the cost invested in option 3 would actually have at least a less expensive cost per event. But having said that, I am having a difficult time sitting here buying into the premise that, or the argument that we should be using open space funds for something that is specifically tied to the fireworks, right? The cost associated with this is not a cost associated with a park. It is associated with the fireworks. If we were not having the fireworks, we would not be talking about this cost. So this cost is totally fireworks associated. And as such, if we want to have the fireworks, the committee that is raising the funds should take on the responsibility of it because it is totally associated with, when we looked at the park and looked at all the activities that we wanted for and we're figuring out the great and wonderful plan of it, no one talked about a tarp to cover the field. We didn't get a tarp. That wasn't in the bonding hundreds and thousands of dollars that we did for all that investment in Middle Bush Park. So for us to sit here and try to convince ourselves that this cost can be tied to open space because it's park, I don't believe, I find it difficult to go down that line. I think at that point, we're just trying to make an argument to fool ourselves into spending money from open space. So I'm back in the pool of, I believe, option 3. If we're going to do this, and given the fact that tonight it seems like we have to vote on it because of the actual spending of it, the issue of Colonial Park is a non-issue for this discussion because it's associated with costs of it. I think we should, if we're going to do it, move forward on option 3 and have that money come from the fireworks fundraising.
While
Councilman Wright?
I do agree with you, and again, I'm going to pick up on Councilman Kramer's idea, and that idea is, yes, and Councilwoman Sherman, that as we go down, as the committee goes down to raise the money, we're going to put in there, listen, we need to cover the fields, and we need XYZ to cover the fields. Now, as we go along and raise the money, if we fall short, I'm willing to go back to Council Kramer's ideas, loan me a couple dollars, and I'll give it back to you. Now, that's far-fetched. That's really down the road. Can't really do that. But I would suggest that if we went with the smaller shells this year and continue to raise our money for next year so that we could cover the tarps and all, I definitely would agree to that. But to not have the tarp would be a non-starter, because if those embers fall on the field, then we're going to have an issue. As far as patching that field, is brand new. I mean, no one has played on that yet. I went over there this past weekend. I loved that first field. Kids were already on it. They've laid out for the second field. So I am happy with my baby right now. So if you agree with that type of operation, we're raising that money. We'll go with the smaller shells this year, however they work out. But knowing that next year that we're going for the tarps, hopefully we raise the money, and if we fall short, a couple $100 or say, could you show us some love on that?
Yeah, again, it's not.
How about Councilman Kramer, then we'll come up.
Yeah. So are you willing to concede the open space money part, or?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I see, again, again, I would concede that. I said that as an opening salvo so I could get you down to go with me a little bit. But if you don't want to take that route, I'm willing to, agree with you. But come back to that tarp to cover my field.
Mr. House, what of these, the plywood, of options 1 and 3, which do you think is the safest for the field? And if you can't, I'm getting you that you don't know.
Guarantee, John.
Now, remember, I love you now.
Guarantee goes back to number 1, there is no fireworks.
Okay, so you can't estimate that. And on what Mr. Regan said, I guess for some reason, I was thinking option 3's $15,000 was a recurrent cost. Was he correct? It's not a recurrent cost?
Right, and like I said, I've been trying to make the time to reach out to the Board of Ed. It's our understanding they have one sprinkler to begin with. If they can lend it to us, you won't have to buy another one to cover the second.
All right, so it seems like option 3.
It's not a reoccurring cost because once you buy it, it's done.
I agree with Mr. Regan then that option 3 is most economical, and I disagree, though, that we're going to be taking more time of our firefighters, because we always station firefighters there anyway to put out problems with the field.
I got to correct you on that.
Okay. Correct away.
Having the firefighters do what we're asking them to do, wetting these fields down, is a lot more.
Oh, okay. All right. Then I stand corrected.
Typically, before those fields, we had brush trucks that just drove around that field and put out the fire. Now we're going to have to stretch hoses and everything else.
So as I'm.
That's part. I'm sorry to interrupt you. That's part of why I think you have to buy those sprinklers so that they do a lot of the. We're hoping they're going to do a lot of the work, and then the firefighters aren't going to have to put in as much, but we're asking the firefighters to do a lot more.
So what's occurring to me is nobody is asking about option 2, so I think that one's pretty much out. And I also don't think that we have to decide on option 1 or 3 tonight. I'm going to actually propose a motion, and if no one seconds it, then then we don't have to go with a motion, or there can be discussion if someone does. But here's my motion, that we first consider Colonial Park. We second go with either option 1 or 3. with the money to go for that purchase before additional attractions, as long as they're, in case the money runs out. We use the smaller shells no matter what. We allow for a loan from the surplus to be made up over years for the protective part, not for the rest of it. But if let's say, I'm making the motion too complicated, but just to explain, just to explain that, in other words, if we come up with a quarter of the cost of our option, then that's a reasonable, then we would fund the rest so that they come up to do that. And then lastly, open space money not be used. So in brief, Colonial Park first, either option 1 or 3 with the money to go for the option before the attractions, small shells to be used, allow for a loan from surplus, and open space money not to be used.
I would
I'll
second it.
second that.
Second it.
Okay.
Just one correction there. If Colonial Park is used, I don't think you have to downsize the shells.
There's a lot of, if Colonial Park was used, a whole bunch of things need to be looked at. We never evaluated Colonial Park for size of shells or anything else.
We've never did.
I can't tell you that.
There's a number of different issues with Colonial Park that I think of as I sit here. While I like the idea, that they also are in the process of installing synthetic turf fields at the northeastern end of the park. So I don't know if that falls within the fallout zone from where we would launch from, depending on where there's an area. Your idea about across the lake. That's a golf course. This is a regular business day for the golf course. I don't know that the county is going to be willing to shut down the golf course to put up a launch zone for fireworks that has to start at about 11 o'clock in the morning. There's a whole host of issues that we have to look at, and I just remind you that it's February 26th. And this area here in the municipal complex is something that is very familiar to staff in the setup and parking and all of the things that goes with this event. So while I'm not saying that it's completely out of the picture, it opens up a whole new number of issues that we have not yet had to deal with. So I certainly will approach the Park Commission about the possibility of having these fireworks in the park, but I don't know what their answer will be, so we need to also consider the fireworks here in the municipal complex. Now, the question has come up, do we need to take a vote today? The reason why I put this on as a council discussion item is you do need to take a vote today, but not on this. You need to take a vote on awarding the contract for the fireworks. That's on the agenda, and that's $15,000, and that's $7,500 that we lose if we don't have these fireworks. Because we have to give them half up front, and if we cancel, we don't get that half back. That's the discussion item, and that's the vote that's absolutely necessary tonight. Will we have fireworks?
Can I just, once again, and Councilman Kramer
Mr. Renone?
Reiterated why it was a bad idea to give me an internet connection. One of the rules for using fireworks in Colonial Park is prohibited. It's one of the commission rules, so.
I would like to strike the.
I believe it's also one of their rules that they can't have it in North Branch Park either, and the county hosts on July 4th fireworks from this particular company generally that does ours. So I'm sure that there's some method to do this, but I think that there's so many things that we need to overcome in such a short period of time that it doesn't seem practical to me at this particular point.
Okay, so the issue we will decide, which is 15C on our agenda, is awarding the contract. So it's basically a go or no-go decision we have to make this evening.
It is, and I'd just like to throw one thing in there. Number 3, which is the irrigation system, basically, what sod farms use to irrigate the sod fields. While it would be used on this particular evening to wet down artificial turf, the township could benefit from it for the natural turf fields that we have for irrigation purposes. So it would get used at other times. That's why the Board of Ed owns one.
So,
Okay,
Mr.
Councilman
Mayor.
Kramer?
Yes, so I would like to strike the first clause of my motion, the Colonial Park clause, from it. The rest would stand.
Okay.
Mr. Prasad seconded the motion.
Yeah, no, I agree. The only thing is we should not abandon the thought, and we should explore it as an option, especially if they're doing fireworks for the county in other parks where it's prohibited. Why can't this be an exception for Franklin? And, you know, if they want to have fireworks for free, basically we're funding it, and they get to participate in it. You know, if they want to pay us something, we'd love to have that too. And maybe the mayor can prevail upon some of his friends in the county to share in the glory.
Okay. Now,
Thank
thank you. My sights on this are, if, without going into specifics, as the manager didn't, if we go to Colonial Park, we may lose our underwriting of $15,000. Something to keep in mind if we're going to look at that going forward. As far as if there's good reason for the small shells, that's fine. We always get compliments on our fireworks and how they are. If we go to, I know most of the shells are small. If we did them all small, I just don't want anyone to come up and tell me it's not as good as it used to be. So,
Yeah, the church. And you have an answer if they do.
but most people,
Let's go.
okay, what's the reasoning behind going to all small shells? I mean, is that to fit into option number 3? Is that why?
I just think to reduce the hazard. You know, 4-inch shells, sounds like there's only a few 6-inch shells. So, you know, and I've seen the Palace fireworks, they're fine. So we'll miss a couple of oohs, or maybe those are the ahs, I don't know, but.
Mr. Mayor.
No matter what.
But it's
what
also,
option-
right.
oh, I'm sorry. No matter what option the council picks,
Yes.
and the final decision will be yours. If you do pick a different option, the recommendation of fire prevention is going to be that you don't go above a 4-inch shell ever.
Right.
Well, now that we've put those fields there. Even if you covered them in plywood and everything else, I would still tell you, that's my recommendation to you as the fire prevention officer, and then you guys can say, no, I want the 6-inch because we're protecting our thing, but.
Okay, do you have any concept, and if you don't, fine, like what percentage we're looking at above 4? Is it 10, is it 50?
Yeah, in the main body of last year's show,
Yes.
there was over 18,000 shells.
Okay.
Out of that 18,000, 210 were 5-inch, and 101 were 6-inch. So you're only talking 300.
18,000 or
18,000.
Okay, so you're talking about 1.5% were 6-inch. Oh,
Exactly.
okay.
You saw about
Above 4.
a
Okay.
very small amount.
All right, 2 things.
Most people, I bet you could not, if they were looking at whether it was a 4-inch or 6-inch shell, there's no way they're going to be able to tell.
Okay, so 2 things spoke loudly to me, just me personally. Number 1, okay, it's 1.5%, so that's not like 20, 30%. Number 2, if it's a strong recommendation, fire prevention, certainly take that into account strongly. Okay. So, after Colonial Park, what was the first point? That was after Colonial and before small shells?
It was to use option 1 or 3. We don't have to decide
Option 1 or
tonight.
3, okay.
With money going to the option before the attractions.
Okay, so if I can encapsulate it, so Colonial Park's off the table for now, for this year. Okay. Oh, Mr. House?
I didn't mean to do that, Mr. Mayor.
No, go ahead, sir.
With option,
I think what Bob was saying was,
the point I made earlier.
if the council wants, we'll research options 1 and 3 to get you a lot firmer information, both in the research with the Board of Ed and everything. The only thing that you need to decide tonight is, are you going to go ahead with fireworks?
Okay.
If you are, and they're going to be here, we will then research.
Okay, so, in essence, if we vote for the consent agenda, we've voted to go ahead. So to Councilman, oh, were you going to say, to Councilman Kramer, we could go ahead with your motion, which kind of covers most of what we've done. You still want to do that? It's not locking us into 1 or 3, obviously, because that was part of your stipulation.
Yes, I do, because
Okay.
from his point of view, that's all we have to decide. But from my point of view, money, I want to lock us into certain things. I want to say no open space money. I want to, allow for the loan. I want money to go for the option rather than for the bouncy toys. So I understand from your point of view, it doesn't matter. All we have to do is say yes or no. But from my point of view, I would like the option to go forward.
Okay,
I mean, the motion to go forward.
okay. So,
Seconded.
okay, still, here's my take on it, and my idea is, okay, I'd go with it. Here's where I may swerve in the future. If we had money for the bouncy toys, I think it's a great family event. You know, if it fits in everything, I'd go with that. I wouldn't close my mind to using open space money because I'm not convinced we should shut it out yet. But that's just, we just go forward. Are there any other comments on this motion? Councilman Wright?
I think we beat this dog, so let's go ahead and vote. Okay. Let's vote on this puppy.
Okay. If, okay, we all know the motion, we repeated it. Okay, all in favor of these, basically 4 points, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Okay, motion is carried. Would you be happier if we voted on that now, the consent agenda item to go ahead?
No, it can stand the consent agenda. We just need confirmation that the council wishes to proceed with the fireworks, and, with all the information that they need to make that decision tonight.
Okay. Thank you much, Mr. House, for staying late. Hope you don't have too long a ride going home, wherever that is.
Not that long.
All right, thanks.
Thank you.
He lives in Colonial Park near the lake.
Thank you very much for coming.
John, we'd
Okay.
like you to work up an option 5 and an option 6 for the next meeting. Thank you.
Okay. The next item on the consent agenda, next item on the agenda is 10B, Volunteer Videographer Pilot Program Report. And we did get a memo from Mrs. Victoria Chase, who I thought might, I'm sorry, of course. See, just to prove it, see if I do have the name written properly. Victory Chase, and I thought she might be here, but do you want to step in on her behalf, or just tell us to read the memo?
Well, there's the memo. Now, I can't get the memo on my iPad. I only get the cover sheet, and it does not go beyond that page. Now, I was going to borrow Councilman Vasanella's paper copy, but those of you who are more competent than I, no doubt, can get the memo on the iPad. And I can say this, that she has been working very, very hard on this, and it is, I think, approaching the point of burnout on the editing.
No.
The Middlebush Fire Safety Fair is now up. You can see it on Channel 29 Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10:30 in the morning, so please look at it. I think it looks pretty good. And the next thing is last year's canal cleanup, which should be easier to edit. She makes the point that the program has recorded the meetings of a number of township committees. That is fairly easy to do. It's fairly difficult to do in the large conference room, particularly if the table is full, which it usually is. It's just a question of getting a point for the camera to take in the whole group. But there's no problem editing those. I'd also like to ask a question of the manager, I guess, that I think we have provision, even through Comcast, to have a certain number of meetings in this room recorded for broadcast, and I'm hoping that the Coyote Seminar, which the Environmental Commission has scheduled for May, can be recorded and broadcast.
The Coyotes, I believe, will be, the Coyote Seminar will be videotaped. There are 12 that we're entitled to from Comcast annually, one per month, and we have that being done.
Do you have this?
Good.
Is that what you have?
Okay.
Do you want to say?
Well,
Okay, Councilman Vasanella?
yeah, I believe all council got the memo here.
Yeah.
Explains. It's 3 pages. Just that we're still happy to have volunteers. Program's done really well, but like Councilman Chase was saying, the editing tends to be one of the biggest, I don't want to say burdens, but challenges to the whole process, but I think it's come a long way. I don't know if Chairwoman Chase would like to come in and give any formal presentation, but if any members have any questions, they're welcome to ask to come to the meeting or forward them to her. So if any other council doesn't have any other questions, it's pretty much where it's at. I think hopefully some council people are catching some of the programs that have been done. And I think there are, like mentioned, there's some more in the pipeline. I think ELS and a couple other of the township boards and commissions. And I don't know what the schedule is for special events, but I know that was one of the hopes that as this program develops, some of the special events like a Memorial Day parade and whatnot, that those may even be able to make it on broadcast via a volunteer effort, of course. So
Okay, very
that's all
good.
I had there too.
And again, congratulations. There is a lot of time put in, especially
Yeah, and
by Mrs. Chase on this.
And there's a couple other, Joyce Miller I know has been very helpful as the in-house staff liaison to the group, and Amanda Johnson, if I got her name right. Yeah, she's been extremely involved, just to mention some of the other people. And of course, the volunteers, there's about a half a dozen of them that have been very involved. They just don't have a list of their names, so I don't want to mention them until we can mention all of them. But at some point, I think they deserve some formal recognition in council chambers down the road. Maybe we'll arrange for that. But that's it, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so the last council discussion item is 10C on the agenda, garbage truck noise issue. And it basically came to us because a resident had brought to our attention that garbage trucks were on their street in about the 4 a.m. vicinity, which was disturbing. So I'm going to ask our manager, Mr. Bornlocker, and our attorney, Mr. Inone, to give us information on this, please.
Mayor, you're correct. The complaints were dealing with garbage collection at early hours. Back in 2002, I researched this for then Township Manager Daley.
And we do have that memo in front of us.
I do have that memo in front of me, and you all should have it in front of you, too. Hours of operation for garbage collection services. There was a case that was decided actually in Somerset County and ultimately was appealed to the appellate division. It stemmed from an ordinance in Bernards Township that regulated trash collection. It was found that that ordinance was invalid because it was preempted by state law, specifically DEP regulations. The DEP statute was subsequently amended to allow for municipalities to establish hours of collection for solid waste. However, they had to meet one of 3 criteria. And the most relevant one for Franklin Township would be what's called a proof of service ordinance. What that means is that every single property owner in Franklin would have to show where there was a contract with a garbage collection company to come in and take their trash away. We do not have one of those ordinances. The only other way is for the town to actually contract with a waste hauler directly to service the town. So I had an opportunity to speak with Mr. Rainone this afternoon. What was relevant in 2002 has not changed, so the law is still in effect, and the requirements for the town would be to adopt that proof of service ordinance. A question came up about whether or not our noise ordinance was relevant. These vehicles, if they comply with the Department of Transportation regulations, with the federal regulations regarding noise muffling, they're being operated on a public street, which means they fall under the New Jersey Motor Vehicle Code. So therefore, the noise that they make is regulated by those codes, not by our noise ordinance, with state law superseding local law. So that is what was found in 2002, and it's still relevant today.
Thank you. Mr. Rainone, anything further?
No, Township Manager and I had this discussion. I'm, pretty well familiar with this law, and I agree with his interpretation. It's sometimes there might be a practical solution that's short of adopting an ordinance, or you're going through that process, and that may be just trying to deal with the waste hauler in question and see whether or not you can, the way it's usually is this a commercial hauler, Bob, or a residential?
It's a residential, and it is actually, and without naming names here, the offending party in 2013 was the offending party in 2002. It's the same waste hauler, and it was someone that back then, in my former capacity, I tried to negotiate with. They were very firm. In fact, they were the ones who cited this appellate case to me when they said that they were not required to adhere to any kind of municipal ordinance as it related to hours of collection. So they tried to work with us to a certain extent, but they still insisted on beginning collections at about 3 a.m.
And Mr. Vorlock, just for their sake, and I wish we could reduce the noise, it didn't seem arbitrary in a large town. They had to get going before rush hour, basically, and that was their reasoning to you?
Their reasoning is this: it is a large town. They have a large area to cover, and it takes a significant amount of time. And once you get into the morning rush hour, it becomes more and more difficult to do the trash collection because of the amount of traffic on the roads.
Okay, so it seems like we can't regulate their noise or their hours as it is, and you've appealed on humanitarian basis to them personally. So,
And it may not be, Mayor,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Councilman
Not to
Bastello.
interrupt you, although we got specific complaints about specific area, which involve a specific hauler, I have over time, as many other council members may have, hear an occasional complaint coming from other parts of town involving other haulers. So, although this one happens to be this one, I don't want to say it's a widespread problem, but it happens to where some of the neighborhoods, just by way of what was just explained by the manager, there's only so much they can cram in, unfortunately. But I was a little surprised, but the present law then pretty much forbids us unless we went to the proof of service ordinance. Is that pretty much where it stands?
That's exactly it.
Okay. But we haven't had an onslaught of complaints either, because...
It periodically rears its head just simply for the fact that you raised, Councilman, and that's that someone has to be first. If the routes run from 3 a.m. to 9 a.m. or whatever their hours of operation are, someone has to be first and someone gets to be last. It's just, that's the way it works.
Okay, thank you. If any other concepts ever come through or laws change, we'll be notified. Okay, and unfortunately on that. Okay, so next we come to item number 11 on the agenda, approval of minutes. So we have before minutes of a reorganization work session, regular meeting of January 2nd, 2013, and our work session, regular meeting of January 22nd, 2013. Is there a motion to approve the aforementioned minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on approval of the minutes.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilman Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilman Regan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have approval of warrants. Warrants are the bills that we pay. So warrants in the amount of $2,193,183.04 on February 26, 2013 are presented to the Township Council for payment. Is there a motion for the warrants to be paid as read?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on payment of the warrants.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilman Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilman Regan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. Now we have our ordinance hearings, of which we have two this evening. And ordinances are usually voted on twice, once to introduce, and generally in the next meeting or two, there's a second vote, and if it passes that second time, it goes into law, and at that second vote, we have a hearing where anyone can speak about the ordinance. So there are two for the evening. The first is item 13A on the agenda, ordinance 4005-13, ordinance to amend the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 384 Water, Section 384-19, curb connection capital fee for calendar year 2013. This is a calculation set by law for curb connection. It's for new construction to basically amortize the cost of the whole system to the new people who are putting it in, or either our auditor or a finance person calculates that. Again, it's formula. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication. The public hearing is in order, and once again, it's only on new construction. Is there a motion to open the meeting for a public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Meeting is open for public discussion on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Seeing no one coming forward, Mayor, motion to close the public portion of the meeting.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Public hearing is closed for this ordinance. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. Madam Clerk, please poll the council on item 13A, ordinance 4005-13, please.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilman Kramer.
Yep.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilman Regan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. We next have item 13B on the agenda, ordinance 4006-13, an ordinance amending the code of the Township of Franklin, County of Somerset, State of New Jersey, more particularly Chapter 354 Telecommunication Services, Appendix Chapter A 404 Zayo Group LLC. This is an ordinance to allow this company to put fiber optics on poles. They used to be called above net, and fairly routine. The Township Attorney has approved the affidavit of publication, and a public hearing is in order. Is there a motion for a public hearing on this ordinance?
So moved. Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. This meeting's open for a public hearing on this particular ordinance. Anyone interested in speaking, please raise your hand.
Mr. Mayor, seeing no one from the public coming forward, I suggest we close the public session.
Seconded.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Motion is carried. Thank you. Is there a motion for final passage of the ordinance and publication in accordance with law?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on item 13B, ordinance 4006-13, please.
Councilman Chase.
Yes.
Councilman Kramer.
Yes.
Mayor Levine.
Yes.
Councilman Prasad.
Yes.
Councilman Regan.
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman.
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella.
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. Thank you. Next item number 14 on the agenda, ordinances on introduction, first reading. We do not have any of those for this meeting. So next we have...
Mr. Mayor.
Oh,
I'm sorry to interrupt
Deputy
you.
Mayor Sherman, no, please.
Thought occurred to me, the videographer pilot program report, there's a tremendous amount of work being done by Victory and her volunteers. I think I would like to suggest that perhaps we compose some kind of a note of thanks to her and ask her if she could, if there was any issues that we can assist with. But I really think we ought not to just simply say thank you very much and move on. I think we should do something more.
Councilwoman, Deputy Mayor Sherman, I'm sorry, Mayor. Yeah,
Councilman
I was
Vasanella.
very quick in my comments on it, but I had mentioned that all the work that had gone into it, the half dozen or more very active
Yeah.
people, that we should have them in the chambers to thank them more substantially down the road. I don't know.
Well,
You
that's
missed that.
fine down the road, but for now.
Well, when
we'd
I'm
like
down the
see
road, I'm
this
going to
trend.
talk about doing that
Yeah.
now that the anniversary point, so to speak, and I will now make a point to make it even quicker because of the sentiment you express. I think it's great. We should.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that's a very nice thing to do and encouraging for our people. So very good. Okay, so now we'll go into item number 15, the consent agenda. Consent agenda is items which are usually of a generally routine nature that we vote on all at one time. It's any council person's prerogative to pull an item off for a separate vote or to certainly have any questions. So we have items 15A through 15W. These are listed on the consent agenda portion of this meeting and are presented to the Township Council for adoption. Is there discussion or motion for the consent agenda?
Motion for passage.
Mr. Mayor.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
Councilman Regan?
Just a question on 15F. Is this associated with the paving of the streets that we're doing?
About 15F?
To be honest with you, I would say no, just based on the dollar figure. And unfortunately, I wish I could say I knew what it was in reference to. If you look at me, let me look at the resolution. Bear with me.
I pulled it up and I couldn't exactly tell.
I'm getting there right now.
It says asphalt, so that's why.
UPM asphalt, correct.
Perhaps is some of the product we use for all the patchwork that we do relevant to our streets. We do in-house. Just a guess. I'm looking forward to
It is just the patch. Yeah, exactly.
That's what
It's for us to patch potholes. It's
The hot box.
$140 a ton with the hot box coming from Weldon and Tilcon and Stavola, the three vendors that we use to get hot patch.
Thank you, Mr. Vornlocker.
Okay, anything else?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, while we're
Councilman
asking
Prasad.
questions,
Yes.
here's a suggestion.
Yes, sir.
I want to congratulate the manager for reducing item H, 15H, by about, what is it?
$90,000?
$90,000. Now, we had cut corners on the paving and left it as grass in Middle Bush Park. Can we use some of that money? I think it was about $120,000 that we tried to cut out, and now we could use it and have a paved parking lot, since we've saved some money. Just a suggestion, a thought.
My thought is no.
Councilman Kramer?
My thought would be no. If we save money, we save money. We don't save money so we can spend it. Just my thought. We agree. We had decided to, it was actually Councilman Chase's idea, let's see if we can save money and then we'll look in the future and see if we need it later on. So I would not be in favor of that. Thank you for saving the 90,000.
Yeah.
Okay, other items?
I would agree.
Thoughts on
with-
that or anything
with
else?
that, Mayor, and
Councilman Vasanella?
yeah, no, I agree with Councilman Kramer said, and Not necessarily from that money, but, we have some of the other parks that, the parking lots and entryways, and probably be spending some more money, my point, on infrastructure, so. As long as it's safe, I think we just leave Middlebush. Looks good,
Okay,
that's all.
okay, and if nothing else,
Motion to pass.
okay, from Council.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Other discussion? And as we pointed out before, by passing the consent agenda, we've given our approval for the fireworks, whatever and wherever they'll look like. So, Ms. McCarthy, please pull the council on the consent agenda items 15A through 15W, please.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilman Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Councilman Regan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Okay, motion is carried. Now we have item 16, resolutions to be voted on separately, and often that's something which is put on after we've originally put out the agenda. So item 16A, Resolution 13-136, it's to oppose Assembly Bill A1196, Public Safety Workers' Compensation Act. Motion to oppose this is presented to the council. Do you have either a brief explanation or a motion for this resolution?
Motion for passage.
Second.
Okay.
Now,
Councilman Chase?
what the bill would mandate is that if anyone who was a first responder came down with cancer or heart attacks, it would be presumed that this resulted from their service, and the municipality would have to prove that it didn't in order to avoid paying, I don't know how much more, whereas at present they have to prove that it did result from their service, and it's estimated that this would cause the cost of municipal health insurance to go up quite a lot.
Okay, so in essence, it would cost the municipality money.
Yeah.
State mandate, but not a state pay.
Statewide, about $400 million annually.
Oh, okay. All right. Ms. McCarthy, could you please poll the council on item 16A on the agenda, Resolution 13-136, please?
Well, and
Oh, pardon me, Councilman Kramer?
well, just after what he said, we are opposing it.
Correct. Yeah.
Right. A yes vote means we are opposing.
Very good. Good clarification, thank you.
Councilman Chase,
Yes.
Councilman Kramer,
Yes.
Mayor Levine,
Yes.
Councilman Prasad,
Yes.
Councilman Regan,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman,
Yes.
Councilman Vasanella,
Yes.
Councilman Wright.
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. Next, we have item 17, old business, 2013 boards and commission vacancies. Are there nominations for any positions here? Councilman Chase.
I have a nomination for the Kingston Village Advisory Committee, which has had one vacancy for several years and another one now. Frank DiGiovanni of 3 Laurel Avenue, he's a photographer and his business is on the Route 27 front, and he's also the great-grandson of the founder of Guaranteed Motors, he tells us. So, but he's very eager to work for Kingston. And I believe, yeah, you should have his citizen review form and CV. So I nominate him.
That's Frank DiGiovanni?
Yeah.
And his application, citizen leadership form, was given to us for the joint Kingston, whatever you call it, joint Kingston advisory.
Yeah.
Advisory.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Well, we just refer to it as KVAC, the Kingston Village Advisory Committee, but
Okay.
there's 3 members from Franklin, 3 from South Brunswick, and 1 from Princeton.
Okay. Any other nominations? Okay. Everyone who wants to vote for Mr. Di Giovanni
We do
for the
have
Kingston
other-
Village Advisory
Oh, not for
Commission,
that, oh, okay.
by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Congratulations, Mr. Di Giovanni. Were any others? Okay. So, I'm not going to list them all, but do
Oh.
you want me to?
No, if you just want to go ahead and pass the recreation list for nominees, I'll go with that. I mean,
Okay.
because I have 4 of them on the list.
Do we have that?
We have 3. 1, 2, 3.
Should be 4.
Bill Gallagher.
One of them is Mr. Milligan, right? Is that
Oh,
correct?
okay.
Yeah.
I
Bill
got you.
Gallagher, William Milligan, and Stanley Crowder.
Okay, great. I'll go with
Got it.
that. Okay. We can vote on those 3.
Okay, so we've got for Advisory Recreation Council, and these are, which positions are they for? Regular members?
Regular members, that's
Okay.
correct.
So Mr. Gallagher, Mr. Milligan, Mr. Crowder. Okay, any other nominations? Okay, all for those 3, by acclamation, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Congratulations to all of you, and thanks for serving on our boards. Other nominations? And as a point, we did have their forms in front of us, too. So, since the weekend, there has been an executive session added to our agenda.
Mr. Mayor,
Oh, Councilman Regan?
I'd like to amend the agenda for the executive session to address the email that I sent regarding the letter that that council received from the Fire District 1.
Okay, and that's in relation to the Ethics Board?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And the subject matter of that would be attorney-client privilege?
Okay. How would I phrase that to Liz? Fire District, how would I phrase it? Ethics Board? Or-
Correct. Inquiry concerning ethics board?
Okay, thank you. Okay. Okay. That's a move to amend the agenda to include that item.
Seconded.
Okay, moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion is carried. Okay, executive session is where the council meets in private, and there's only a few circumstances we can do that, such as attorney-client privilege, if it's personnel matters, and there'll be minutes taken when the subject of those items is no longer needs to be confidential. The minutes of those meetings will be made public. So we've got 2 for this evening. One is, the executive session resolution is 13-137, authorize executive session litigation, E&J Equities, and the other is inquiry concerning Ethics Board. Is there a motion for the resolution presented for us for executive session?
As amended.
So moved.
As
Seconded.
Certainly. Thank you.
No.
Moved and seconded. Ms. McCarthy, please poll the council on the motion for executive session, please.
Councilman Chase?
Yes.
Councilman Kramer?
Yes.
Mayor Levine?
Yes.
Councilman Prasad?
Yes.
Councilman Regan?
Yes.
Deputy Mayor Sherman? Councilman Vasanella?
Yes.
Councilman Wright?
Yes.
Okay, motion is carried. We're now going to go into executive session to discuss each of those items. When we come out of executive session, there will be only 2 items of business to be done. One will be a vote to come out of executive session, and the other will be a vote to adjourn, because those are the only items which will remain. We will end our taping now. Thank you very much. Be well, and we'll see you next meeting.